Hi everybody, this is Devesh from Kolkata, India. Today I will share with you about my computer usages. I use computer since I was in college. That was long ago in the 1980s, and as I am from Kolkata, India, it is not in the developed part of the world. So we did not have enough computing facilities in our colleges and universities. So in the university, at that time it was in the year probably 1985, 85, 86. We had a mainframe computer in the so-called computer center. We used to type our computer codes. That time it was Fortran, and we used to type our computer codes on punch cards and then submit it to the computer center as a job with our roll number written. And on the next day, we used to get the printouts. And if there is an error, unfortunately, then we had to again find out the error, and replace the line of the code. The particular punch card which contains that line of the codes, and then again resubmit and get the result. So it was a laborious job. In our department, at that time there were few uh, desktop computers, but especially it was purchased from research projects of some professors, and those are not for students, so we could not use it. Later, when I went to IIT Bombay for pursuing research, there also at that time, it was 1989, at that time computers were rare. The most of the students used to go to the computer center and submit jobs by typing on the terminal. There used to be terminals. So we used to log in and write our codes, and then get the printout results on the next day or in the after few hours. So there used to be newsprints sort of printout pages, and on the front page there used to be a large uh, printed roll number, and then we used to collect it, and it used to be a huge collection of outputs of papers. And if you talk about stationery CAs, and in those days the universities used to waste a lot of stationery on printouts. But later desktop computers were cheaper. IBM desktop computers were cheaper. PCXT and PCAT came, and now it is, you can say, everywhere it is computer. Then of course a laptop also arrived, and we saw a great change. So in 1991, I remember there were a few computers in our Department of Physics in IIT Bombay, which were installed with Linux. And then we were introduced to the Linux operating system, which was just in the arena of computing. And I took a lot many years to gather courage to use Linux on my own computers. And that computer also I purchased quite late. After completion of my PhD, I purchased computer when I joined a job, and that too it was having a Microsoft Windows operating system. That damn thing. Yes, previously in the department, in the institute, I used to also use desktop computers with MS DOS before the 1995 that Windows 95 came. So in 1996, 96, yes, 96, And then in 97 I saw Linux appearing on the computer magazines, in form of small CD discs. So in 1997 I got the courage, so I installed Red Hat. At that time it was probably the May 1997, or maybe May 1998. Yes, 98. Red Hat 5.2. So I installed. That was my first Linux test, and it was a dual boot. I used it for some years, and then Red Hat stopped releasing their free version. They converted it to a company, Red Hat, and then they used to sell Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and created a open source, that free version of their operating system as Fedora. And then I decided to switch to the most you can say the first GNU Linux, you can say that, Debian Linux. So I started using Debian later. uh, uh, Earlier it used to it used to take more than one disk minimum, so that is why Red Hat was popular. So later when DVD ROMs arrived, and there was no problem, so I started to use Debian GNU Linux. So this is actually a very good thing in my life. I can say that I adopted using GNU Linux free and open source software. So GNU is a project, you know that it is a recursive usage. Like GNU is not Unix. It is a Unix-like operating system with all the security features, but it does not use that proprietary Unix operating system, the Unix kernel. So it is using a open source Linux kernel. And why we call it is a GNU Linux? Because GNU is the free software project, and that gives the most of the part of the operating system, the utility softwares. So that constitutes more than 85%. So Linux is just the kernel. So that is why we call it GNU Linux. So in short, people call it Linux. That is okay. So I must say that Linux or GNU Linux and open source software is are the you can say some gift to my computing life. I did not have any problems so far when I started using GNU Linux and open source software. No problem of virus, malware, or any other thing. I don't remember anything. So I recommend all the students community who now are in the high school, they should start using GNU Linux and open source software. And most of the schools, they don't have enough fund to buy software. So if you spend money in buying the proprietary software like Microsoft Windows, then it is a wastage. And using a pirated operating system also is not a good approach. So it will be a very good strategy to think about converting your computer lab in your high schools or even the middle schools in GNU Linux server. And you can use some old computers also as clients, as thin clients for the students. So you can make a computer lab for your students within a very small amount of money, and you can spend the money what you otherwise use for purchasing proprietary operating system to buy more devices. Say you can buy a server, one server you can probably get within a few lakhs, 4-5 lakhs rupees, good server. And if you even don't have that, you can manage it with decent desktop computers with a good processor, Intel processor, AMD's processors. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. Even all the professionals who are using everyday computer for your everyday life, computer, surfing the internet and everything, you should also think about adopting GNU Linux. And mind it, the entire web, that World Wide Web, the more than 65% or 70% web servers are running on Linux, GNU Linux and open source software, the Apache servers. So, and the another terrible thing is that whoever are using Microsoft Windows, they should know that the top earning business of Microsoft, that Azure cloud, that adopted Linux. And now you know that you might have seen that slide of the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, that Microsoft loves Linux. Why they love Linux? Because they can solve their ransomware and many other problems with Linux. Linux is more secure. So say they adopted Linux for their Azure cloud business. That is their top revenue earning business. And most of the, you can say, the top 100 clients of Microsoft Azure cloud they prefer Linux to Windows. So there is option in Azure cloud whether you want to use Windows or Linux. So more than 65% users, they opt for Linux. So why? Because it is more secure, there is no problem. And why Microsoft has adopted Linux? Because it gives them profit. It gives them profit. It gives them a piece of functioning their business better than their own Windows operating system. That you please know. If Microsoft can adopt GNU Linux in whatever form for their business, why can't you? You should also consider. So that is all for today. So bye.